Hello everyone and welcome to the Low Budget Car Show. My name is Alex and today we are going to be talking about the NSX that recently sold for $277,000 on Bring a Trailer. This is called the Alex Zanardi Edition. It's exclusive to the US market. They only made 51 of them and it's a pretty interesting car, so I thought I would make a video kind of going over its features and everything, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be looking into this. That's kind of a big deal. NSXs usually sell for $40,000 or $50,000, and for one to sell for $250,000 is pretty big for NSXs. If you don't know what an NSX is, I mean, if you clicked on this video, you probably do know what an NSX is, but just to go over it, it's a sports car sold by Honda, sold by Acura in the United States, but in the rest of the world, it's actually marketed as a Honda. They were produced from August of 1990 all the way up until November of 2005. There were two generations of the early car. The first one had pop-up headlights all the way up until 2001, and then in 2002 they went to the fixed headlight version, I guess due to pedestrian safety laws and increased aerodynamics and things like that. I prefer the pop-up headlights, but I think both of them look pretty cool. And the NSX is a two-door, two-seat, mid-engine sports car. It's really credited with being the first car with supercar level performance that was everyday usable. You know, it had really good visibility and Honda reliability. I feel like it really made other sports car manufacturers, aside from Porsche, I mean, they've always had fairly reliable cars, but really like Ferrari and Lamborghini and Jaguar, are really like, if we're gonna make high performance sports cars from now on, they need to be held to a higher standard. It's kind of like what happened when Lexus came out with the LS 400. So what makes the Alex Zanardi Edition special? When it comes to special edition NSXs, most of those were reserved for the Japanese market, such as the NSX-R, which I think is probably the most well-known. And then you have the Type S and the Type S0. And each one of those was like, they took weight saving measures to certain levels. And they were really, if you wanted a more track-focused car. Well, the United States got a special edition of our own, and that one is the Alex Zanardi Edition. They only made 51 of them. Alex Zanardi was an IndyCar driver, and back in the 90s, he had two back-to-back wins for Honda with the Chip Ganassi racing team. And they came up with this special edition NSX to commemorate that. And he actually got one of them gifted to him, and that was car number 0. Oh, excuse me, car number 1. And these cars all came in Formula Red, which was the same color as his winning car. So as I was talking about the various special edition NSXs, the Alex Zanardi Edition that was exclusive to the US market is actually very similar to the Japanese Type S model. And for the Japanese market, Honda produced 209 of them compared to the 51 Zanardis that we got. Some of the similarities between the two cars would be the staggered BBS wheels. They removed the power steering, so these cars all had manual steering. I don't believe the Type S had the fixed roof, but the Alex Zanardi Edition, taking the weight saving measures to another level, did away with the Targa roof that these cars had in the mid to late 90s and actually gave it a fixed roof. The various weight saving measures, in addition to the removal of power steering, the fixed roof, the car also got a lighter rear spoiler and a lighter battery as well. And all these things came to a total of 149 pounds of weight reduction. One of the things that the Japanese market Type S got that we didn't get in the US market were the Recaro seats. So all of the Alex Zanardi editions had the Onyx interior, which is like a black interior. It's black power seats with micro suede inserts and red contrast stitching, so it's pretty cool looking. And with any, along with any special edition car, you also get like a brushed aluminum plaque that has a serial number and Alex Zanardi's signature on it. And I did forget to mention another factor of the weight saving. They actually got a single pane rear glass instead of the thicker rear glass that we got on the normal cars. All right, so now let's take a look at the actual car that sold for $277,000. If we pull up the auction here, you'll start to read that this is another car that has a lot of cool history. Alex Zanardi commemorated this car due to his wins in the IndyCar series. The owner of this car, his name is Miguel Duhamel. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. He won 2 Superbike races with a broken leg. I don't know much about this guy, but he sounds pretty cool. I mean, that's just what they had in the description of the video. So maybe you might want to check him out. It sounds pretty cool. I'm not really up on the Superbike or MotoGP or anything like that, but I know Honda was very successful at a certain point. I mean, I'm sure they still are. So he must have been one of those really good Superbike racers. But he was gifted car number 51, so the last model that was produced in the Alex Zanardi special editions. Car number 0 was actually a press car, and I will put a link in the description in the video of a pretty cool comparison. You can see the NSX Zanardi going up against some other high-performance cars from the 90s, such as the Viper GTS-R, so that's pretty cool. I would check that out. But cars 2 through 50 were sold to the public. So yeah, he won those 2 races with a broken leg. That leg mustn't have healed very well because he only put 12,000 miles on this car over the 20 years he owned it. The powertrain, the Zanardi does differentiate itself quite a bit from a regular NSX, but it does have the same transmission. It has the same 3.2 liter V6. And in Honda fashion, it revs all the way up to 9,000 RPM. These cars did have a 6-speed manual and a limited slip differential from the factory. The Zanardi also did have stiffened suspension over a normal NSX. Interestingly enough, this car also did have a low-speed accident where the driver's door was damaged. I mean, with the repairs that they did, you can hardly tell. You can't tell at all. And still, even given that, it sold for an insane amount of money. I mean, given this car's pedigree, and it is very special, it's the last model of production, it does have some interesting history. So I imagine that was all working in this car's favor. But I have to imagine if it wasn't for the accident, maybe this thing could have sold for more. Who knows? And if you're wondering what one of these cars sold for when new, $84,745 to be exact. And adjusted for inflation, that is $132,213 in 2020 bucks. So even if you bought this car new, you made more than double your money. And I mean, it's pretty safe to say this car was going to be worth something. I mean, anything that's produced in numbers, there are 50 cars, 51 cars, that's pretty insane. Yeah, you're pretty much guaranteed to have something special on your hands at that point. So I think that about does it for today's video. I thought this car was really cool, and I thought I would share some of its cool details with you in the history about this car. I've always loved NSXs, and I never thought I would sell one. I never thought I would see one sell for this much money. I mean, it is basically the best example of the car you could get, at least in the US market. So I'm really not surprised, but I'm not quite sure what this is going to do with the values of other NSXs, because I think those cars usually sell for around $40,000 to $60,000, depending on transmission, mileage, things like that. So what do you think? Is this something you would spend $277,000 on? Were you following the auction on Bring a Trailer? Because I know I was. As soon as I saw this thing posted on there, I knew it was going to bring big money. Didn't really expect it to be this much, but still I'm pretty happy about the result. I think that bodes well for NSX values in the future. In the comments below, let me know what kind of cars you'd like to see me cover on this channel. I do kind of want to highlight cars like this that are more rare or weirder cars. Maybe you haven't heard of them. That's kind of the thing I'd like to do on this channel. If you've been out of the loop and you didn't see the details on the Nissan 400Z prototype, they did finally release a lot more information on that car. My other video that I just posted yesterday went over that car, and I think it's pretty cool. You might want to check that out. Just please keep in mind that was my first video, so I am kind of learning with these things. I'm hoping the lighting is better in this video. I'm hoping the audio is a little better as well. So I think the quality will continue to get better as they go. But let me know what you think, and thank you very much for watching.